Well, it has been a while since we last talked with you. Good evening, everyone, here on our Wednesday of a brand new show called Talk Oconee. Are you excited as I am, Cathy?
Thrilled.
I am just absolutely thrilled. It's like nothing's ever changed since we left the last show. But we're here this evening. Are you okay over there?
I'm good.
Okay, just making sure that you're okay. We want to welcome everybody to the show tonight. Welcome to Talk Oconee, by the way. We're going to restart the show in a little bit different format with different things. Okay, I just want to make sure you're okay. I know you're choked up and excited about, this new show here.
Gatorade down the wrong hole. That's right.
Gatorade down the wrong hole.
That's right.
Okay, that's exciting now.
Big time stuff.
Okay, good. Well, I'm wondering if there's a problem here. I don't think everybody's on. Something's going on. There we go. Let's wait 3 or 4 people. Waiting for more. I was kind of wanted to wait till everybody got here, but we'll go ahead and get started this evening. We have a lot to talk about, and one of the things that today on the show, as we relaunch, I wanted to have a conversation, and that's why I've brought Cathy in, and we've actually have a lot invested in this conversation. And one of the things that we want to talk about this here on this show, particularly this evening, is the situation in which we have all of the threats within the schools.
Yeah.
And we've been following this for many, many weeks and many months and actually many years of given what's happened in Georgia. And I kind of want to set the scene up a little bit before we get into the conversation. I want to go back and play some of the public comments from the actual board meeting on Monday night. And I think that will set it into perspective. Then we can carry on and have the conversation with everybody. Feel free to jump in and add your comments as we go into the show this evening on your social media if you're watching. If you want to email your comment to me, you can actually email it at jbright3@gmail.com. You can also text us, 864-280-9810. That's the number. But what we want to do, first of all, is get into that conversation. We want you to be able to hear what was actually said at the school board meeting, and I think that'll put everything in perspective as we go into the show this evening. So let's join up with that right now, and then we'll come back and start our conversation. But I think it's a good point to start as we talk about what's going on with these threats right now. Let's join up with that.
Oh, okay. Daniel Canton, and I'm a parent at large right now, serving on the student improvement committee council with the middle school, and I'll also be with the high school now that I'm a ninth grader. I'm here just to discuss kind of the security issues that we have, and I'm thankful and grateful for all that we have in place at this time and what we have done over the years and the measures that we have taken. Moving forward, I think that there is more that we can do, and I would like to know as a parent what we can do to help, because I know that a lot of times finances are an issue and things are very expensive. I did reach out to Anderson County District 5, just kind of curious as to how they got the funding, because they have some systems in place. One of them being the metal detector system. OpenGate, I believe, is what they use. I could be incorrect. Or the Evolve portable security system. Those are more expensive. I know that we have looked into the Centigics, which is the badge where you mash the back, and it can be used for various things. Such as if there's a fight on the school playground, or if there's an emergency and somebody needs an EpiPen, or if the school needs to go in lockdown and you immediately have access to where that location is. So I think these are things that we need to look into, and also parents are very concerned, so if there's things that we can do, if you would let us know how we can help. I did reach out to Senator Alexander, and he called me back. Unfortunately, he could not be here this evening because I gave him such last-minute notice on Friday after that shooting did take place in Georgia. So, with everything going on and all of the rumors, thankfully, that have been going on and escalating through the schools with the threats, they're scary. They're scary for all of us parents. They're scary for everyone involved, because we want to protect not just our students, we want to protect our teachers and staff and everyone else at the school. So I really would like for us to move forward in a way that we can do so. I know that, as I said, money is a huge issue. Another thing too is that with these systems in place, people are worried about deterring or holding up a line. It takes a long time to move people through, but with the education that I, learned, you can really kind of cater to what you're looking for, something as small as a vape or something like a handgun. So it's not going to hold up the line and make people, take forever to get through, to get into school. Depending upon what it is you're looking for, some of these are portable. You can move them to the football field so that it can be used out there as well, or another sporting event. So it's not just for the school, but also different functions that take place at the school. And I think too, with people knowing that it's there, it's kind of like when they see the cop car, it's a deterrent. It's the same thing. They see the security and they're going to think twice about what they have in their pocket, what they're trying to bring through. They don't necessarily have to know that it's not checking for vapes, because I know that's another huge concern that we have with all the vaping that goes on at the school. And I know that we've talked about too, getting detectors within the bathrooms, because my son can't even go to the bathroom. I mean, he goes in there and it's just like a plume of smoke, and it's disgusting. And it's hard because you can't stay on top of that. No matter how hard I know they're trying to, it's impossible. The kids have them on them, they're easy to hide and hard to find. So security is really my number one thing. And also, I just didn't know if there was something in place, a protocol that if this happens, X, Y, and Z goes on, even if it is a threat that is deemed not credible, it was false, what happens? I know that they're looked at and they're talked to, but is there a record now for them? Moving forward, I would just kind of like to know, and I tried to Google it, I tried to look it up on the website and try to find out more answers, but I think transparency is always the best thing, and I love that that has grown over the years, and we do have a lot more of that with them reaching out, letting us know what's going on, and I appreciate that as a parent, because rumors start, as we know. If we don't know what's going on, people talk, they go to social media, whereas if we get answers and it's directly from the source, then it just puts it down. So that's all that I wanted to share, and I appreciate you listening.
Ms. Thomas?
Really, I just have a question. I'm Sasha Thomas. Sorry, I'm a quality lead contact. I'm just new to the area too, the business. But I have a question about empathy and morale and just overall ethics, what we're doing in the schools. I had a meeting at Walhalla High School with Officer Brooks, Mr. Morris, Ms. Wooten, and two of my high school students. And I asked the counselor to please describe to me what is her job description inside her role. And I'm being told they just help pave the path to success. And I said, what about the now? What are we doing for our kids' mental health now? And she couldn't answer that. She said, we don't really do anything with that. And I said, no disrespect. I told my kids, do not go to her. She is an extra person in the way. If you have a question or something happens, you go to the principal or you go to the officer. What are they there for? They're just an extra person in my kid's way. They're not helping. And I have a question about IEP and 504 plans. My kids are academically okay. They do well. But I have an older son who has mental health issues, who was sexually assaulted at Walhalla Middle School, who was also sent off to the hospital in an ambulance due to it by another male student. And I just, since he doesn't have the IEP or 504 plan, they automatically dismiss him. Behavioral, in a nutshell, it's like they're just throwing him away. He doesn't have any special needs, so we're not gonna, he's just behavioral. How do you expect for a child to grow and thrive and learn when that's what we're teaching them? That's why the 14-year-old showed up to school, that's why they do it. They don't have the attention at home, they're not getting it at school because they're not that special need. And I don't think that's fair. My son, I'm also being told about the threats, the rumors today. They couldn't really do anything because there was no proof. My son got sent to OA school last year over an allegation outside of school that if some child, I take in kids that have homes. I had 10 kids the past weekend. I take them in. I had a child stay there and wanted to say my son held a gun to his head. Officer McCall came, they dismissed it because it was found untrue. Why would the child keep coming back to my house? He got mad at my son. They still sent him to OA over an allegation that was unfounded. The entire school is now that he's back at the high school, all to him. You held a gun to somebody's head, you were gonna shoot somebody, you're psycho. Mr. Farmer at the OA school told people, and Officer Brooks backed it up, and the OJ RSA officer there, they said that my son was gonna be the next school shooter. Now, where is that fair? He also told my son's girlfriend there, don't date him, he's psycho, he's gonna be the next school shooter. Why are our staff and our officers talking to students like this, and like, what are our kids learning? My kids have seen so many drugs in the school bathroom. I never seen coke or anything like that when I was at that age. My son was able to get head from a girl in 7th grade in the bathroom. My daughter was touched on the bus because I asked her not to be sitting with a student that was 17 years old, she's 14. I asked the bus driver, Mr. Dixon and Miss Hughes, not to sit them together. The bus driver told my daughter that I need to just get over it, and guess what? Allowed them to sit together, Miss Cobb, bus 307, where they were allowed to touch each other's private parts. But I was told when I called for a complaint that we're low-handed and that we just that they don't have bus drivers. But my kids are a problem because they stand up for each other. The high school, we have students in there asking the guys if he can touch their penis. Was literally in the bathroom the other day. My student had to go get a teacher and say, hey, can you please ask the student to quit asking us men in the bathroom to see our penises? My son is very, again, he's sexually assaulted by a male student. He has issues with that. And I don't care what you choose to be, but if my son was to look at a girl student and say, can I see your top half? That's automatic sexual harassment, suspension. But we're allowing these, I mean, I'm just gonna say, the gays go in the bathroom and ask these male students to look at their penises, and it's dismissed. But the homes are the problem. It's the school too. There is no empathy. There is no guidance. It's just babysitting. They're going and they're seeing this whirlwind of stuff, and we got to stop. Or we are going to keep having kids that are 14 shooting up schools. Somebody's got to care. Somebody's got to have empathy to finally say, I care about you. Somebody. And that's what I really want to say. I just need one person. You seem very, I feel everything. You seem like you're listening. I need people to listen to understand, not listen to respond. And I really hope that you take that in, because this really is happening. With our staff, with the school bus drivers, this is happening and it's a problem. And that's what I have to say.
Wow. Wow.
Barely got my headphones back on.
I mean,
I listened to it the first time.
I am totally blown away listening to every word that she said that is going on. This is a parent. And I mean, I have to be honest, looking at you, Cathy, I am a little speechless. I don't know what to say. As a talk show host, when I hear stuff like that, it makes me cringe
It's cringe-worthy.
to know that this is where school and this is where we're at now compared. You and I have been out of school 30 years.
Yeah.
I can honestly tell you that I don't recall ever going in the bathroom and seeing somebody show their penises. Or then I hear the story about this sexual assault that no one knew anything about happened, and then the kid had to go via EMS to the hospital because of it.
You went to Seneca.
Right. I graduated Seneca. I went to Seneca schools.
There's a whole book about Walhalla and sexual assault.
Yeah, you're right. I think we had this conversation last year. You're right.
We did. There's a whole book about Walhalla and sexual assault.
I mean, if this is happening here, one would stand to reason that what's their home life? What's going on in home?
I don't think. Wait, what you mean? The person that's assaulting the kid? Who knows? And there's two types of people that sexually assault people. It's people who
are being assaulted themselves.
Are being assaulted, and it's a crime of opportunity because that's what they've been taught. And then there are people who are predators.
Morgan says, I've been out of school 10 years, and none of what she said was a part of my high school experience. And that you've been out 10 years. I've been out 30. Your mom and I have both been out 30 years. And I'm sorry, the biggest thing that we had to worry about
part
was
of mine, but it was part of people's that I know and that I went to school with. It happened. Just because it didn't happen to me doesn't mean that it didn't happen to people that I know.
I'm blown away with that, listening to that. I'm still in, as much as I follow our schools and much as I care about our kids, that right there really.
And just to be quite honest, some of the same people are at the district. So
That was a part of that.
that knew
What
what
was going
happened
on.
then and probably know what's happening now. So, I mean,
Let's go back and finish up. There's a
Yeah.
couple of others. I had to stop the video when I heard that and was listening to that. It just absolutely,
and I'm pretty sure she may have said some names.
it shook me to the core. I mean,
Did she not say some
I
names?
I couldn't hear. I mean, the level, remember, his audio is really low.
Yeah.
I didn't hear the names. I just listened to her, what she was saying. And, it did appear to me that three of the board of trustees were just fixated listening to what she had to say. So anyway, let's go back and finish up here and let's listen to the next one because I was blown away.
Good afternoon. As a mother of 2 children that attend Oconee County School and a concerned citizen, I have any concerns pertaining to the safety precautions that are established at our schools. As we all are aware, metal detectors were not implemented at the Apache School where the tragic shooting occurred. I went to the school today and spoke with Miss Hughes, and I asked her why there was no more safety precautions put in place, because as what I'm aware, it is badges and the front doors are locked. That is it, as what I'm aware of. When we went to Oconee Middle School, there was clear bag rules. There was metal detectors that you walked through and each bag was checked. Mandatory locked doors on each classroom. They were not to be left open. The resource officer patrolled the hallways, and of course, all doors were to stay locked and shut. Signal blockers were not used because, as you all know, let's say someone locked in the classroom and unfortunately the teacher were to get shot. How would our children be able to contact us or 911? Handheld metal detectors were also a thing. I do think that parents should be notified as soon as the threat is made. That did not happen today at either the high school or the middle school. It was done afterwards. I found it out on Facebook from parents. Phones should not be banned. Should they be put away? Yes. But my child will bring their phone to school. If it comes to a point where you say my child can have their phone at school, they will not be at school. Also, they are focused more on attendance than they are the mental health, because my child, one of them, feels an anxiety severely bad. And this school shooting that just happened recently is everywhere. Obviously, social media, everybody at school is talking about it. Her friends, everyone is scared. The students are scared, we are scared. I literally cried the other morning, put my kids on the bus, and begged God to please keep them safe while they were at school. And I sent a text to them like I do every single morning. And knowing that that was the last text that those kids got at Apache, and it could be us, because I could literally walk in the school with a gun in my bag and nobody would know it. There is nothing to detect weapons. There is no check of the bags. There's nothing. So I feel like that is something that needs to be put in place. Guidance counselors counseling our kids. I really hate to put this out there, but I'm being honest and raw. My son tried to commit suicide while he was at school last year. because of him not being able to understand. He has a 504 plan, and he was getting behind in his classes. He couldn't understand because he learned slower than other children. So he was overwhelmed. He was failing everything. And that was his way of dealing with it. I do not know why, but that was. The guidance counselors from school called me and let me know about that, and I went up there, and there was very minimum questions, very little empathy. I've asked for an IEP meeting. I got one, and they denied him because he missed too many days of school. But my child tried to commit suicide because he did not have enough help and understanding. I do not feel like that is right, and I feel like if you can do that, I can teach my kids at school better than they can go to school. Also, it is held against them for them having to take mental break days. As we all know, as adults, we have to take mental break days, especially this day and time. And after his incident, it was held against him for having to leave school early. I do not find that right. Also, I looked into the grants that are given for walk-through metal detectors or safety precautions. There are 5 grants that I have down here that give up to $20 million from what I've seen. And going back to the safety, clear bags, locked doors, bag checks, walk-through metal detectors. Walk-through metal detectors are from $11,000 to $5,000. If we can't get a grant for it, then we can make a fundraiser. We pay taxes. Also, my son plays football. They just got a brand new locker room, brand new gym. They cost a lot of money. And as I love football, I love sports, I think it's great. I do think that if we can get the money to raise the money to build a new locker room and gym, we can absolutely get the money to put detectors in our school, keep our kids safe. Thank you.
I want to stop again and listening to that. You know, we have a $25 million bond
Yeah.
that, given whatever's going to happen with that, we have the money to put this in the schools for safety.
Well, she just came up with a
$25
million grant.
I'm just listening to that and blown away that we have actually a parent. Wait a minute. A parent walks in and has information about these grants. What is our district doing? These grants are available for.
Yeah, she did her homework.
It blows my mind.
I wonder what other grants are out there. And that bill is obnoxious. You pay taxes, and you're going to cut off a woman who's there pouring her guts out because her son has tried to unalive himself. How dare you turn on that stupid bell in the middle of her? She is near tears, you know, telling you that you wouldn't help him when he needs help, and it's your job. That's what you're paid to do. You're paid to help him, and he couldn't get any help from you, and you turn that bell on her? Shame. Just shame. Just ugh.
Candace, good evening to you, and thank you for checking in. A kid tried to commit suicide at school, and they just called the mom to come pick him up.
Yeah, lame. Weak and lame. I mean, just...
Well,
shameful.
We have an issue, and as we get more close into the show and everybody joins in, we want to break this down further. I'm learning a whole lot tonight that really is now concerning to me. How do we proceed? What are we going to do? Do we have the right people in charge of the school district?
We need somebody to come in federal, because what she was saying and what the lady before her was saying was, we have needs. They're not being met. Our children have learning difficulties, and you're not giving them what they need. As a matter of fact, the second lady that spoke said you refused because he missed too many days. Okay? And what I find and I'm going to make this about me for a second. What I have found with IEPs is it's as clear as mud. And you don't have anybody explaining it to you. It's like trying to untangle Christmas lights that are in a ball. And they're not obligated, evidently, to explain it to you. And I feel like I'm not completely stupid, but I can only imagine someone who is the least bit challenged, which when you have disabled children, stands to reason that their parents might be disabled or at least learning disabled, trying to navigate an IEP meeting and get the accommodations that they need for their child. And they are less than helpful. They just want to get through it. And it almost seems like the...
Let me clarify. IEP is Instructional Education Performance
Individualized Educational Plan.
Okay, IEP. Candace was asking that question.
And so what this lady had asked for with her son, who wanted to commit suicide because he has difficulty learning. She had asked for this because she wanted accommodations for him to help him with his learning. That could look like a longer time to take tests, someone to help tutor him. You know, it could be a whole bunch of things. But the bottom line is you have to have this big, long meeting, and they'll have a team. The team will be about 7 or 8 people. It's very time-consuming. And they don't want to have to do it if they don't have to.
Well, it seems like to me that, was it last year we went through something like this where Dr. Thorsland was making the statement that he felt we give out too many of these IEPs. He made that on record that they were more scrutinized.
Well, yeah, let's just pretend that kids don't have needs. That'll make it better. That'll bring your test scores up.
Well, I mean, if we've got these parents,
stupid.
if we got these parents right here that are coming forth and they're speaking of what's going on,
they're asking for help.
They're asking for help from the school district.
And that's the school district's job.
That seems like to me that there would be a situation now where the school district, if they wanted to do something, this is the perfect time that they need to start having these conversations and saying, look, okay, wait a minute, is this part of the issue that we've got going on in the schools? Because if we can correct this now, we might be able to prevent a potential tragedy later on. Because if we go back several years to when we had the shooting in Townville, at the elementary school in Townville, that gentleman or that kid already was showing signs of issues when he was in the Oconee school district, and they just kicked him out and he had to go to Anderson. So here's a pattern here of things that have led up to where we're at right now with all of these threats. And again, as I just told you, if you're just joining us, we have another threat that they found it unfounded. But it sure is amazing to me that we're jumping on the bandwagon now when we should have been on the bandwagon years ago. We knew this was coming. We knew that we had an issue. And it took a tragedy an hour and something minutes down the road from us for kids to lose their life before we up here knew we had a problem. And now we're starting to, well, maybe we do.
Well, but we knew that. Did we not know we had a problem when Townville happened?
I think we did, but I still believe they wanted to ignore it.
Because there's nothing more frustrating for a kid if they do have difficulty in school than not getting what they need. Whether it be like a kid that's being abused at home and they're not being helped out of the situation, or if they don't fit in at school or they're being bullied and they're not being helped out of that situation, or if they have a learning difficulty and they're not getting help for that, is that not going to make a child incredibly angry and frustrated and unhappy with where they're at? Now, that's not an excuse, but that is a reason. And the question is, what is the school's obligation and their role? I mean, when I went to school, before I moved here, we had guidance counselors. They had degrees, actual degrees, and they were certified counselors, not not career counselors, not what do you want to do when you grow up counselors, but how do you feel and why do you feel that way kind of counselors.
I have to tell you that my guidance counselor was Mr. Al Robinson, and he was a fixture around here for years. He was principal, and then he became a guidance counselor. And I have to say that Mr. Robinson was one of the greatest men that I ever met, because he did guide me through a lot of issues as in my teenage years, because I had a parents that got a divorce when I was 16 years old. And, you know, as a teenager, that was more, I couldn't thank him enough, because he knew what I wanted to do with my life. He knew that radio was important. That gentleman was a guidance counselor.
Right.
We had guidance counselors back in the day that took a genuine interest into, you know, not only making sure that you got the things you needed in school, but generally you could go sit down and you could go talk to them. It wasn't shunned. It was more accepted and open. You know, hey, look, if you got a problem, come see us.
Right.
And it's somewhere along the lines, we took a turn for these guidance counselors, and they've turned into career counselors.
Right.
It's more about making sure you get into this or that, or get into. Sometimes I think we've put way too much emphasis on college and not put enough interest on just getting through, making sure that you're educated and doing the right things.
Yeah.
Finding a job. Somewhere along the line that changed. And every time now that you have an issue, it just doesn't seem like that, you know, if you want to have a career and you want to have to talk about your education, fine and well. But when it comes to, if I'm seriously having problems, what happened to these guidance counselors?
Well,
yeah, I agree. I
and
agree.
like I said, we had, and I didn't see them so much when I moved here, but we had them at school, because I had friends who, whose parents were divorced, and they would go see them like once a week, see the guidance counselor. We had kids who would lose a family member. They would go see the guidance counselor. I mean, they were an actual counselor, and that was their role in the school. You know, they would take the kids out, just like if the speech therapist came and saw, you know, the kid, they would take them out for their outside session. I don't think they do that here.
It doesn't seem like it. And just listening, and the parents are the ones that I'm paying more particularly attention to and what they're having to say, because these parents are actually on the front line. They're dealing with this.
Yeah.
And if there's 2 or 3 parents saying this, it makes me wonder and makes me believe that there's a whole lot more going on within the school system with children. And maybe this is part of the problem.
Well, and it stands to reason too. Like they're both asking for help in the same way. And like I said, I have trouble with the IEP thing. It would stand to reason maybe the thing to do would be to have like a countywide meeting and explain that to folks. Explain, what is it you have to do to get accommodations for your kid? What is the big flaming hoop that people have to do to get help for their kid?
Well, let me bring Nikki here is up on the screen, and she shares some information here. So, Nikki, I appreciate you sharing this with us. Unfortunately, IEPs can be complicated. IEPs must be reviewed every school year by law. If parents need help, you can get a special education advocate for free from the State Department to help you. Sometimes accommodations cannot be added because they do not fit the medical diagnosis listed in the IEP. Schools are legally not allowed to do certain things. We have both guidance counselors at our schools and mental health counselors in our schools. Our kids spend plenty of time talking about issues with our guidance schools and departments in our schools. To get an IEP, you must have a medical diagnosis. Well, if someone, to me, tries to attempt suicide, that is a depression, mental health illness right there. That's a dead ringer for that. Go ahead, Cathy.
Here's the thing. As someone with autistic sons, there is a 2+ year wait list to get in with a behavioral pediatrician and anyone else that is qualified to diagnose an autistic. The state of South Carolina does not recognize you to diagnose an autistic except for a doctorate level psychologist, a psychiatrist, or a behavioral pediatrician. That is fact. Just went through it. Are you a teacher? If you're a teacher, then you have PBA insurance, and you know that this is a fact. Our district doesn't have a doctorate level psychologist. How are autistics supposed to get help in the school system and get the accommodations? It's a catch-22. They can't get accommodations and they can't get changes. All you can do is get a developmental delay. So that's the big loophole, so that autistics are not and do not have to be served with an IEP. I mean, that's and I'm just saying that is the whole big I don't know what you would even call it.
Well, it's a state. Nikki's right here. This is a State Department of Education issue. This is a State Department issue for
and
sure.
They're more worried about banning books than they are about serving children.
Yeah.
So and I can totally see how a parent like these two parents here
Are frustrated.
well, they're going to be losing their minds.
They are.
I mean, your child attempts to kill themselves, and you can't get any help.
Some are on answer your questions. Isn't IEPs for learning disabilities? Well, that's true. That's what they're designed for.
Learning disability.
A learning disability. But what
emotional.
else?
I think it can be emotional.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
So I mean, and it's not. I mean, I just know about autism because my kids are autistic, but it can be a lot of different disabilities. But yeah, so when you don't have people that are even qualified to get you there, how are you supposed to get the IEP? I don't know. I don't have the answer.
Well, I do want to go ahead. There's one more public speaker from Monday night. I want to go ahead.
Did we miss one?
Yeah, I think we've got one more coming up. I think we do. We've got one more coming up. So let's go ahead and give it a listen.
Okay, I think I'll get it as a whole while we all are here. It's a problem. We all know it's a problem. A problem that is very scary and needs to be taken care of and taken serious, not just by the people in the school that run the school and the school system, but also the students. And one of my main concerns is these kids that are going around making false allegations and stuff like that. What are they, like, 2-day suspension, 3-day suspension, ISS? What is actually happening to them when they do these things? When they say that these things are going on, or that they're going to do those things, not other places, because I know that a child today got charged. What is happening here? When things like that happen, what is taking place, and what are the precautions that are going to take place from here on out? That's number one. Number two, the other thing is, I don't know for sure, because I haven't been in the school during the day, but do our resource officers walk the halls? Do they walk the perimeter? Do they check things? Do they make sure that the school is safe outside and inside? Because let's not forget, it did happen here. It did happen. It happened in Temple. A lot of parents and other people are under the impression, and I think it's they want to make themselves feel safe of sending their children to school, but they put in their heads that it can't happen here. It can't. Those other parents that it happened to in Georgia, they probably thought the same thing. But it does. It does happen. It happens everywhere, and it can happen here again. So with that being said, I just want to know what are we going to do from here on out? I mean, it's got to stop. At some point, it's got to stop. I talked to my child's principal today, which he did make me feel a little bit better, because I did not know that there was the whole film that has been put over the windows and stuff. That's great, but let's implement clear bags. And like my sister said, we can do fundraisers. I understand that finances is an issue, but there are things that we can do as a community, because this is something that we are all worried about, all of us. And quite frankly, we're getting tired of it. We're tired of speaking and not being heard. And that's all I gotta say.
Well, I think that she pretty much winded it up there in the public comment section that, I think that she's correct. I think parents are kind of tired. That's my give and take. That's what I have seen. But also, too, we are not allowed, or we're not, let me rephrase this. We can't hear from the teachers. The teachers cannot speak out. Because as I've told you before, if the teachers try to speak out, then they're blackballed.
Yeah, but some of them are going rogue, man.
Well, some of them have to. Some of them need to.
Some of them are getting closer to retirement. Some of them are fed up, and they're just saying what they think.
Well, as we move on, I did want to mention here and the response from the Board of Trustees. Chairwoman Denise McCormick acknowledged that although the district has safety protocols in place, more must be done to prevent potential tragedies. Echoing McCormick's statements, other trustees, including Amanda Holder, Megan Ketterman, stressed the importance of educating students on the consequences of their behavior, especially in the context of social media, which has become the breeding grounds for all these threats and misinformation, from Snapchat to TikTok, all of this. This is where we're at. So, again, the thing that I hear most is about the issues about the detectors, the metal detectors in the schools. So we're spending millions and millions of dollars. I'd like to know about this gym. Do you know which school this was that this new gym was built?
No.
I didn't know anything about it. But, if we can build that, we can outfit these schools. We can start at the high school and get these put in the high school, and then we can work our way down to the middle school. I'm not sure that we need to go as far as elementary school, but I think, at least start in the high schools, have it there and move down. Look, if they wanted to do this, they could do it. There's no question. The money could be found tomorrow. If they want to do a pet project, the money could be found for this tomorrow.
My big question is this. They had metal detectors in other districts.
They brought the metal detectors out for graduation last year.
30 years ago. They had, just look at Columbine. Columbine had cameras 25 years ago. Why do other schools have cameras and metal detectors, decades ago, and we can't get cameras and metal detectors? Metal detector is $2,500.
But they've got cameras in the schools.
They don't have them everywhere. Because remember, that was one of the complaints and one of the big blow-ups, like a little while back, because one of the elementary schools has a city park backed up to it, and the kids were complaining about some creepy guy watching them while they were playing.
Where was this at?
It was...
yes.
And they were complaining, and the parents got together and they wrote some letters to someone and got some snark back because they said, please, let's get some cameras for the playground so that we can be assured that there's not some creeper
right
watching the children on the playground. And like I said, they got a bunch of snark back instead of just getting some cameras, because cameras are relatively cheap. And you would think that would show any other things like little fist fights and whatnot. If your kid comes home with a scraped up nose.
At one time, you're talking about cameras. At one time, I don't know if they've got them now, but there was school buses in Oconee County that did not have camera systems on them.
I mean, I think you should have cameras everywhere but the bathroom stalls, obviously, if you listen to what these people are saying. Everywhere but the doggone bathroom stalls. And then that's just assurance. I mean, that's just assurance.
So what do you think that it's going to take to make sure that we do the best we can to protect our children? How do you think we go about that?
Well, I think that it's going to take a lot of parents getting together and making some noise.
I think the parents need to show up every time there's a school board meeting and continue this conversation. I'm proud to see that the three that came and the four of them that came and addressed and actually talked about what was going on. And I think more people that have children in the school system need to address and bring their grievances to the school board, because the school board needs to hear it directly from the parents, not Dr. Thorsland, not Steve Hanvey, not anybody else on the administration team. They need to hear it from the parents. The parents is the ones that need to be there telling the stories of what their kids are going through. And I'll tell you this, I even recommend the students going.
Yeah.
The students can go. They can get on public comment. They can tell how
think-
they're being treated in the schools.
I can tell you that I know from with that rap song.
Well, I want
The
to
reason people did not show up. People are terrified that if they go to this school board, that their kids are going to be targeted. And what does that tell you about the school system?
Well, I mean, you're right.
What does that tell you that people feel, and that has to be rooted in some reality for so many people to feel that way? Because I believe the Journal had the most comments when that happened that they have ever had on any other article.
Now, I want to do real
People
quickly,
were outraged.
I want to go back and let's set the scene of what happened in 2022. This is what
Okay.
we dealt with in 2022. And when we come back from this is courtesy of WYFF Channel 4. It gives you a whole big perspective of just what we happened 2 years ago. And we're going to break this down a little
Okay,
bit because this is important right here.
Good evening to you both. Yeah, at some point the FBI was looking into this. Some parents tell us that they just found out about this song last week. The district, though, says it acted appropriately.
Concerns in Oconee County about a rap song posted to SoundCloud back in May, threatening administrators and teachers at Walhalla Middle School, and it came from a group of students.
I was hoping that tonight someone from the school board or the administration could at least give a more firm response to put at ease parents who are concerned.
These young men are very deeply ashamed of what they did.
A lawyer for some of those students and their families said it was never intended to be posted and that the lyrics were pulled from other rap songs.
The families all want all the teachers that were identified in the song to know that they are so deeply sorry.
The district said those students were punished in accordance with its behavior code and that it was handled correctly.
If we had even a remote thought that there was going to be violence perpetrated at our school, do you really think we would let students go next?
Okay, I want to stop it right there. Now, we just dealt with this 2 years ago.
Right.
What was the punishment for these kids?
Nothing. 3 days right before the end of the school year.
And then they got a few more days when they came back to school.
I don't think they did.
Was it
Did
only
they?
3? I think it was. I think it was 10 days total.
I thought they didn't have to do anything when they came back.
So
I
here's,
think they got 3 days. They said 10 days, but there was only 3 days left in the school year, and then they didn't have to do anything when they came back. They got to play sports. They got to do everything.
So here's the deal. What happened, Jeff? Morgan, I don't remember. What happened right before that song was released?
Uvalde was the day before
That was the school shooting.
the school
Yeah,
shooting.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
The day before was Uvalde, and they released it the next day on SoundCloud.
So
yeah.
on this rap song, we've heard it. We've got the song. We still have a copy of it. They talk about murdering teachers
Right.
in an audio threat. But yet all we're seeing now is just threats on social media. Now, you tell me, if this rap song was released right now, what would happen?
They call up Roberta Barton and have her lawyer up and apologize for them. That's what they do.
But I'm just serious. So does it seem like we're treating everybody ethically in this whole thing?
No,
I mean,
absolutely not.
I mean, but then we have the superintendent make that statement right there. So what's the difference between now with these threats and then what was done 2 years ago? There's nothing. They're a threat. You have a rap song that talked about murdering teachers with names.
And sexually assaulting their daughter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly, Cathy.
Yep.
There's nothing different between what's going on now, but it took a senseless shooting in Georgia. You would have thought they would have learned their lesson in Townville. And that's been what, 5-6 years ago? No, it's been longer than that. 2016, wasn't it?
It's 7 years.
Yeah. 7 years. You would have thought that would have been so close that we would have learned our lesson. But no, we didn't. It kept going on and on and on. And then finally, right down the road from us in Atlanta, Georgia, this. And now we're finally getting stuff. You're right. Now I will say this. She's exactly right. You're right. It was a different board. She was not on the board at the time that this happened. I have to admit, I'm a big fan of Coach Holder.
Yeah.
Because I really do like her. I grew up with her at Seneca. Fine teacher, fine coach.
But what made them not? You have to question what made them not kick it down the road to the FBI. What made them actually press charges? Because the school didn't have anything to do with that.
We all know. We all know whose kid it was.
Yeah.
We all know.
Well, it was more than one kid.
It was more than one kid. But the ringleader of that, we know who it was. That was that is the least kept secret in Oconee County.
And the thing of it is when you release things on social media, and this is one of the things that the board pointed it out. When you release things on social media, your anonymity is gone. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter that you're underage and that the entire community is giving you a courtesy. Your anonymity is gone. It's just a courtesy at this point because you put it out there. You put it out there.
I really hate to say this, that it's sad that our generation of kids now that are growing up, they will never get to experience our generation of what we did. We were able to go to school and didn't have a fear of being shot at or killed. We got to enjoy our high school years. 30 years ago, we got to come and do things. This current kids coming up will never, ever get to experience what we got to experience growing up, Cathy.
Yes and no. And I say it like this, just because that book and in a way, it looking back, maybe people have over romanticized what it was to not have cell phones. And I oftentimes question this no cell phones at school thing because maybe having cameras everywhere will prevent some people from getting hurt. Because as you can see, there have been a whole lot of adults caught having inappropriate relationships with kids since cell phones. There have been a whole lot of things filmed where kids are picking on other kids and got caught for it. So there are good things about social media and cell phones.
Well, I'm concerned about that in general, the new rules that are supposed to be going into effect. A high schooler, I think that during certain times, like at lunch or anything, they should be allowed to have cell phones.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the generation we're in. Unfortunately, things changed.
You think about with these school shootings and stuff, if you look, a lot of times, how are these kids gonna call for help? If you look at that school shooting, the last thing that kid that passed away did was text his mom. What if he didn't have a cell phone? You ban all the cell phones. She wouldn't have anything from her kid. I mean, so are they the evil? Maybe, but
Well, tell that
then
to the
again-
guy that was aboard the airline, the plane that was going down when he picked up his cell phone during the 9/11 to call his wife to tell him he loved her, and he was dying.
Exactly. There's good and there's bad. So I mean, I think there's balance. I think there's a balance to kind of strike somewhere. I don't know. We got to find it. We got to find the balance.
Well,
but I think there's good and bad to both.
I'm thankful to see, again, as I said earlier in the show, I'm thankful to see the parents come and speak and let the board know. And again, I can sit here and say this with certainty that Amanda Holder knows what's going on. I can tell you right now that my representative, Sandra Sloan, she knows what's going on. Megan, I think Megan knows what's going on. I didn't see Buddy there Monday night. Buddy wasn't there. But I think that the board now is understanding what's going on. And I just hope the parents can continue to convey the message of what their children are going through. I think the board needs to hear this. And I think the board as a whole will be able to do some constructive stuff and make some changes. I think that they're already making those changes about putting these metal detectors in.
I think they need to make. I think they need to do something to make it comfortable for parents to come. I think they need to reach out, do some sort of community outreach, and make them feel as though they should come and they are welcome and that they want their feedback and they want to hear what's going on with them.
I think it's time for the board to hit the road and do town halls in Oconee County.
That would be great.
I think they need to go to Walhalla. They need to come to Seneca. They need to go to West Oak. We need to go to Fairplay. It's time to take the school board out and let them get into the community and hear what's going on.
And rather than doing like bouncing things off of each other and doing these surveys, these digital surveys or whatever, do those town halls and just open-ended ask, what can we do for you? And listen to the answers that you get.
Then take those back and make some formative decisions.
Yeah.
Because right now, I think that we're
and then
in
do your digital surveys.
Did the school calendar get approved, by the way? I know that I don't think it's going to be August the 1st that we're going back next year. I think they pushed it out a little bit.
I don't know.
And I've heard many parents talk about that this August 1st start was just horrible this year. And again,
ruined vacation.
It did ruin a lot of vacations.
Because we always start early.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we were there in July.
I mean, I get the concept that you want to try to have exams done before December, but here's the deal. We didn't do exams till after, and I don't see the issue in it, and we didn't go back to August 25th, something where along the lines.
Yeah.
I mean, you still got half of the summer left, and you're pushing this. I'm not a proponent of year-round school.
Yeah,
I never will be a proponent of
want a
year-round
break.
school. I want a break, and I think kids need a break from this.
It used to be like you got the summer off because kids actually went and spent the summer with grandparents.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're coming up to the end of the show. We're happy to be here. We're going to get them back on a normal, regular schedule with our new show here called Talk Oconee. And we're going to continue to highlight some of the things that are happening in the county and have discussions on a weekly basis. But there is going to be some changes, and I think these changes that you will like, and we want more and more of your participation in the show. We want you to comment like you've done tonight. I appreciate everybody that's got on here and commented on the show tonight with your ideas and thoughts and opening up that to the community. That's what Talk Oconee is going to be about. And again, we will have probably another show coming up here. We're going to get really started in about October, Cathy, with our show back coming up in October, because we are getting ready to go into.
I'll be here in October.
We've got an election, and I'm going to say this: I did watch a little of that debate last night, and I have God Almighty. I didn't hear anything about what are your thoughts and feelings about how you're going to save the country and what are you going to do? It was more tit for tat, and I'm so tired of hearing about cats. The social memes have just floored all over about the cats. I mean,
Terrible.
I mean, this is an embarrassment. It really is.
It's bad.
It is bad, and it just seems like it's just getting worse and worse. But the first step of it is we've got to take care of our own community and do the best we can here locally, and trying to shed a little bit of light on things that are happening so that the community is well aware. And I know that this is another voice because we talk about so many other things that are happening, and that's why I wanted to bring back the show, but in a different format, so that we could actually have honest conversations. And from time to time, we'll have different folks that will be joining us to give us their thoughts and opinions, and that's what this show is all about. So Talk Oconee will not be like. I just got a text message that this was the best show that we've ever done.
Well, that's nice.
That's nice. I did. Best show. It was very enjoyable to sit back and listen to the show tonight.
Well, thank you.
I appreciate that. I do. All right. Well, we're going to get out of here, make way for another great evening. Again, thank you so much for all y'all's comments. And just be watching our Facebook page. We do have a new website. It's called talkoconee.com. That's talkoconee.com. And if you want to go back and watch this show, it's available on our YouTube channel and all through social media. But again, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and stay on our page. We'll have all the sorts of information and things to enlighten you here in Oconee. Have a great evening.